Well, thank you, John. More officers coming under fire. Now the sheriff, who is fired up and fed up. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto, Los Angeles. Police today hunting for a second suspect after two officers on patrol were shot at last night. It's being described as an ambush attack. Pasco County, Florida. 3 bullets whizzed by 2 sheriff's deputies in a church parking lot. The search still on for the drive-by shooter. All of this as anti-police protesters in Portland could be heard singing "Deck the Halls with Rows of Dead Cops" till Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke, who says this won't stop until someone on top takes a stand. That someone would be the President of the United States. Sheriff, good to have you back. What's going on here? This seems to be systemic and everywhere.
Sure, it's growing, and that was my biggest fear with this irresponsible and inflammatory rhetoric from some of the highest offices in the land, because what it has done is allowed these loons, if you will, to come out of their sewers and start to operate above ground. These individuals, these cop bashers, these cop haters, these anarchists, usually have to do this from underground, but now they feel they've been given license by some very powerful people in the United States to come out and do this out in the open. And obviously more and more are starting to feel the freedom, if you will, from this pathway that was created by the President of the United States, unfortunately, Eric Holder, Mayor de Blasio, and others.
What would you do if you had control of the situation? You would allow the protests. You told me you would allow protests to continue, even if they're saying outrageous stuff like kill cops. Where you draw the line is when it gets violent, right?
Oh, without a doubt, but I would have come out of the gate a lot more responsible than the inflammatory rhetoric that we heard early on, which gave growth, like I said, created that pathway. What I think is important now is for these same individuals, the 3 that I mentioned and others, to acknowledge publicly that what they did was irresponsible, and they didn't mean to create this furor, this mass furor of cop bashing and cop hating across the United States, because these individuals who are doing this are feeling empowered right now. And I think the only way that we're going to begin to stem this tide is to wipe out this with a counter narrative and to debunk the lies, the myths, and distortions about our nation's law enforcement officers. And once we do that, I believe that these individuals will have to go back into the sewers they came from in order to operate.
I'm sure they'd be curious. What did you think in New York today? There was swearing in for some new recruits, new police recruits. I think that was the occasion. And once again, the mayor was booed. Mayor de Blasio was booed. Is there a point at which the police should just stand down, calm down, or do you think their anger is still justified?
Oh, I think it's justified. They watched this cop bashing just like I did. They watched their profession being used as a whipping post to score cheap political points by some powerful political individuals. But what I find interesting, Neil, is that when some of the most vile language that we hear, you played some of it, some of the most vile and vulgar signs that we see about our nation's law enforcement officers, people are so quick to say, well, it's protected speech, well, it's free speech, excuse me, but then when law enforcement officers, in a more socially acceptable way, express their First Amendment freedoms, all of a sudden people are asking them to stand down, and people are asking them to be more responsible. But nobody's saying that about this vile, vulgar language coming out of these cop haters. That's First Amendment protection, the booing, the turning the back, that's all it is, and it's symbolic. I wish the other side was doing something more socially acceptable, more symbolic. Than some of the vile, vulgar stuff that's coming out of their mouths.
Sheriff, I don't want to be shallow about this, but how are you treated, and what kind of reaction do you get among those in the African American community, many of whom email me, many praising you, I should stress, in fact most praising you, but many with the Uncle Tom comments, many with the, oh, he's not really one of us comments. How do you react to that?
Well, I don't. You know, I've been facing that for a long time, but, you know, life's too short to get worried about that. And also, I remind myself every day, this isn't about me. This is about the message that I have. I get tremendous support in the black community here in Milwaukee and also nationwide, because my message is one of reason, and that's really all people expect. They may disagree with me on some points, but they know my heart's in the right place. So I'm going to continue, though, to protect the honor, the dignity, and character of our nation's law enforcement officers as they go out into these American ghettos under some very difficult circumstances, put their best foot forward, and do the best they can to make it a better place for other black people.
You're a gutsy man. Sheriff, we appreciate that. I do.
Thank you, Neil.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.